Good afternoon, Eagles. This is Col Olin. Usually at the end of every set phase line, I send you out a super duper long email and force you to read it, but I wanted to do something different this time and try to communicate some ideas to you through art. So, what I want to do today, rather than just talking about production or any of the other things that we ever talk about in those emails, is answer a couple fundamental questions. Really, who are we? And what are we for? Because I see a lot of traffic, and we don't always seem to know how to answer those questions. We know the Army plucks us out of our normal job, out of our MOS, sends us out here for 3 years, gives us a little bit of training, and then tells us to go out there alone and unafraid and conquer the world. But we don't always understand the bigger context in which we are working and what we're part of. Some of you love this job, some of you hate this job, and some of you are just kind of here trying to figure it all out. So let's talk about these things today. You know, before you ever came out here, or at least a couple of you are volunteers, which is awesome. Most of you are DA Select, and you know the Army brings us out here. Before you ever got assigned to recruiting, how much did you think about recruiting? The answer to that is probably none, okay? And that's not uncommon, because that's the way most of the Army is. The Army kind of thinks that recruiting is it's like your antivirus program on your computer. It just sort of runs in the background and you don't really think about it until something goes wrong, until there's a problem, until you get a virus, until your computer breaks. Okay, so to have not thought about recruiting before you came out here is not abnormal. But so what we usually think about when we think about the Army is we think about the training pipeline. Okay, what is the training pipeline? That's the process by which soldiers get trained. Okay, so let's think about the training pipeline. Here it is. It's a pipeline, right? The training pipeline starts at basic combat training. And as you progress through the training pipeline, you know, you go BCT, you go to AIT, and once you do your AIT, you start to branch out into special areas. Okay? These special areas correlate to the functional areas of the Army. Maneuver, fires and effects, operational support, and functional sustainment. Okay. Now, each one of those areas has MOSs associated with it. Okay, you're all a part of these. So down here you got the 11 series MOSs, you got your 11Bs, your 11Cs, you got your 19 series, 19 Delta, 19 Kilo, and you got lots and lots of branches and MOSs that come off of each of these. 25 series, 92 series, all of those MOSs. And at the end of each one of those things has special training associated with it, right? At the end of the training pipeline, at the end of the MOSs is what? Operational units that are composed of highly trained and highly educated individuals. And so we'll think of the operational units, because the Army, it's green. So you got all these operational units out here. I can't reach that far. So there's operational units. Great operational units that we all know and love, like the 1st Cav, like the 82nd. Okay, I know this is like horrible drawing. Like the 101st. I'm not even gonna try. Look, there's your little horse. So when you conceptualize the training pipeline and operational units and the process by which soldiers move through it this way, it starts to look a lot more like a tree than it does like a pipeline. Okay, well, what we all know about trees is that they don't just have a trunk and they don't just have branches and leaves. Trees have a root system. And that root system branches out into every little nook and cranny of the soil to find the nutrients, the building blocks, so that the tree can sustain itself, right? The roots also hold the tree up during times of crisis. If the root system of a tree is weak, the tree will topple over, or it will not be able to get the nutrients that give it life from the earth into the crown. Okay, so when you put it this way, here we have the Army, guys. This is the operational Army, right here. This is the generating force right here. And this is the recruiting force. This is the training force. And this is the operating force. When you think about it this way, realize all the little nutrients that the tree, the Army, needs to live, they don't just show up at the trunk. The trunk doesn't just absorb the nutrients. The nutrients can only be taken in through the roots, and then follow through the trunk into the branches and eventually get to the leaves. This is our Army. And guys, this is our all volunteer Army. The Army, the tree of life, if you will, cannot sustain itself without the roots, because the roots are down here reaching into every nook and cranny of the American society. That's what you do. Without the roots reaching into every nook and cranny of American society and providing all the life-giving nutrients, the building blocks, the soldiers that eventually find their way into the best trained, best equipped, best educated army in the world, without the roots, the tree topples over. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this to answer those fundamental questions. Who are we and what are we for? Whether you love this job, whether you hate this job, or whether you're indifferent, you're just trying to figure it out, we are serving a function that the Army must have. There's no, remember, all volunteer, no conscripted force. Without you doing what you do, the Army cannot stand. Therefore, it is absolutely vital to understand that the impact that you make, the difference that you make for our Army, for our nation, and for the world in general, by reaching every little root reaches down into American soil and pulls all those life-giving nutrients out, okay? I'm just telling you this because I want you to know who we are. I want you to understand. I want you to feel proud of what you do, because we don't often enough think about who we are in this term. You know, when the Army up here looks down, it sees the ground. The Army doesn't always realize there's a root system that it's depending on. But believe it, the Army is depending on you. Okay, we've got folks on the Korean Peninsula right now that are looking across the DMZ, wondering what the hell's gonna happen and why they don't have, you know, every foxhole filled, every tank crew filled. Well, it's because the root system has got to provide those soldiers. All right, so be proud of where you're at, whether you love it, hate it, or are just struggling to figure it out. Understand how important you are to the Army. Look, we're the roots. We may not be glamorous, it may not be sexy, I get it. But guys, the Army's depending on us. The Army will stand or fall based on the success of the recruiting command. So that's all I got for you today for this phase line. Look, we've had problems with the systems. We've had all kinds of problems. Keep fighting, hard pounding, go out there, make a difference, and just keep pushing, guys. We are doing the best we can. We're doing better than this brigade has ever done before, in terms of GSA, in terms of volume, in terms of all of it. And we are providing the shippers that the command needs to get soldiers into the training pipeline. So keep doing what you're doing, work hard, be proud of who you are, be proud of what you provide and the difference that you make for our Army, and just keep getting after it, guys. Thanks again, Team Eagle. There's my eagle. Okay, I didn't say I was a good artist, but I try. Hey, keep at it. Remember that I love you, Eagles, and have a great phase line. Eagle 6 out.